Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, January 6th, and we've got some portal stuff to talk about today. I am back from vacation. Thank you, everyone, for kind of giving me some grace on that. I've been monitoring the portal happenings for the last, few days. It's been a whirlwind. I'll tell you that. It's been interesting, and we're going to talk about it. I'm in a few places with this. Jamie and I were chatting before the show, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's been happening, what's going to happen, what could happen for Notre Dame, and where they kind of go from here. Obviously, it's been a slow start. They've had trouble getting guys on campus, which is a surprising thing, I think, just from a process standpoint. Not necessarily not the fact that they're not landing players, but just the fact that they're not getting guys on campus, and that's a problem. But we're going to talk about where things are there, and then where things can kind of go. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And as always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. They're known for their next level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics. ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, which is available for purchase online. They've got showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and use code ISD at checkout to receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. All right. Where things are, they still have yet to land a commitment. They've got some key players on campus right now. They've got quarterback Braden Atkinson on campus right now. They have Xavier Gilliam, who made it to campus, which is a big deal because he was coming in from Tennessee. So he met defensive tackle from Penn State. He is on campus right now, and they very much need him. They need defensive tackles, so not necessarily him, but they need those guys, on the roster because they're very short at defensive tackle. They've got some key losses there. It's interesting. Right before we started recording, there was a defensive tackle from Pittsburgh who went in the portal. Jamie, what was the name? Brewu. What was the
Francis Brew?
He very productive last year for Pitt, and he was also recruited by Notre Dame's new defensive line coach, Charlie Partridge. You hope that Notre Dame can get on him because I think that if they were to land him, we don't even know if Notre Dame's involved, but like someone like him that's the kind of thing that could change people's attitudes about the portal pretty quick. Am I correct in that, Jamie?
100%. Like,
yeah.
He is. Well, first of all, like that was a guy that I had because I have you have the list of you hear about which guys Notre Dame's after so far or what names we've heard so far. And then there's like a bunch of lists of like, well, if this guy goes in the portal, this makes sense. Yeah. Of course, you're going to look at like the Pitt guys that are there and like Brewu, because one, Notre Dame played Pitt this year and he was good. I was like, well, this guy's good. He's their best defensive tackle and a really good pass rusher. Very, very good pass rusher. And was someone that, you kind of circled as just in terms of Pitt in general, even before Partridge, that was even a thing for Notre Dame. He's a guy circled as like, if this guy goes into the portal, that's a guy to look at because, Pitt isn't going to have a lot of money to pay guys and stuff. And there's all of that goes along with it. So, I mean, he was definitely someone for me, and he's one of the best, like I said, he's one of the best pass rushers, interior pass rushers in the country. 23.5%, win rate, true pass sets last year, fourth best among power forward defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And Partridge recruited him. Like he signed there with Partridge. Partridge left before he got the chance to coach him. But it was like a thing where he basically said he signed there because of Partridge. That's one of the things. So I would be shocked unless he's already got a deal in place that somebody already gave him a thing. Like, I would be shocked if that isn't in the works, that he's going to very least come to campus, or that Notre Dame won't like have it locked down. Like, and that is definitely like, as in terms of Ibaragua and him not coming and all that. Like, yeah, that sucks. Bree was better than Ibaragua.
So here's something I want to get in on. Right. There's been a lot of discussion within the ISD chat about these D tackles and the ones that have been kind of thrown out there. Like, if they're going for a lot of money, they're going for a lot of money. Do you think that these guys are like, I feel like Brayu is someone you would like break the bank for. And I don't know that that's true of the other guys.
The other guys, no. Or at least for me,
yeah,
I wouldn't like. And I understand there is a certain amount of dollar amount that has to go. It's where there's a value in positions, right?
Yeah.
So I get that, and I totally understand how that, like, we heard like a guy who didn't even play last year was getting a ridiculous amount of money, or he was asking for a ridiculous amount of money just to go, and not at Notre Dame, at a different school. And that's the kind of thing that if you look at it, you understand like how messed up it is and how desperate people are for defensive tackles. And the defensive tackles, like the guys who are the top graded guys, like most of them, it's like, well, you're kind of hoping that they end up being good. They haven't been good. It's not like Walter Nolan is in the portal this year or whatever, right? There isn't any one of those guys if there was a guy like that guy's whatever. But all those people, the James Smith kid from Bama, who was like a big time guy, start for them. I mean, he was like a top 50 kid. He was stud. I mean, I imagine he's going to get. I mean, first of all, if say like Notre Dame got him, it's like, well, they paid a lot to get him, and it would probably be worth it. Like that's the kind of thing. But there aren't many guys like him. Like it's just not what it is. And Brayu is a guy who's played, been productive, been good. Has a connection in Notre Dame. Like that makes total sense. And why it would be worth it. Like you would switch around dollars and stuff to make that happen. Like that's in my opinion. Right. So, and it's funny because I know there's a lot of like sky is falling stuff that's going on around and like talking about the defensive line and what's going on. How about who's on the defensive line first before we decide what is what, right? Like let's figure it out, because as much as I really liked Jontes, the kid who went Williams. Who went to from Iowa State, who went to USC. I obviously didn't like he's coming off an ACL, but I liked him as a player. He's a very good football player. But like, I'm sure he got way overpaid to go to USC, and that's fine. But like, I just saw two kids go into the portal in the last 24 hours that have played nickel, and I would view as better nickels if that's what Notre Dame is looking for. So like the kid from Kentucky, what's his name? Sorry, I got to find his name. Quashid Scott. Like he's one of the top nickels. To me, I'm like, they got him. That's an upgrade. But he's better than him. So it's like one of those things where that guy wasn't even in the portal, and you're kind of like, you don't know what's going to happen, right? I'm sure like how Kentucky, things change so fast. Like Kentucky basically bought Minchie away from Nebraska, which is wild because Minchie hasn't even really started. He's never started, and now he's getting like bidding wars for him. But that just shows you like that's the nature of this whole thing, right? Like you got to be on top of it, and you have to like make sure it gets done, or else you could be, left holding it. I think right now what people should focus on, because I saw like Greg Wasserman was saying like Notre Dame needs 2 top flight receivers. Like, no, they don't. No, they don't. No, that's not true. But like, even if they did, that is like such a hard ask to, if you had to go into the portal knowing we need 2 top flight receivers, even saying we need 2 top flight defensive tackles, you're not going to get that. You can get potential, and maybe you can get one and then maybe another potential guy. But even then, like, it's not guaranteed. If you're hoping going into the portal doing that, you haven't done a good enough job building your roster in the first place. And where Notre Dame is at, like, I think this is the thing. You know, Matt said this. Matt Freeman, IC's Matt Freeman said this, and it's so true. It's like people are freaking out more about not getting who they want in the portal. It's like they don't even remember that, like, Tay Johnson's coming back, right? Or stuff like that.
I was about to make this point.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the things that kind of like gets brushed over. And I'm not saying they can't go like over in the portal. They have to get certain positions, but let's just say in the next 2 days, they get, I mean, I don't know how likely it is, but let's just say they get Daly, John Henry Daly from Utah. I mean, that's a home run and a half. Second team All-American. He's a stud. I don't know if anybody's watched the film, but he is an absolute stud. Like, that's a guy that when we were talking with Greg about the offseason of like, well, you get a guy who's like a game record, that this guy could maybe help you win a championship. That's one of those guys on the list. So I'm going to let it play out here. And see. Yeah.
It's definitely what needs to happen. I mean, there's so many layers to this, right? And I have so many minds of this. As you know, like I had a 5-hour drive yesterday. And the whole drive, I'm just thinking about, like, cause I'm getting texts, in my AirPods, like on AirPods that'll like read you the text. Yeah. So like I'm getting all these texts and I can't respond to any of them, but I'm listening to all of this. Right. And I think, the point about the Notre Dame's roster and the point you've made about Indiana's roster, like they're losing 16 starters off their team. So the money that is going to like Boubacar Traore, like, would you rather have like a really splashy portal, or would you rather have Boubacar Traore? Would you rather have like a very splashy portal? Would you rather have Adon Schuler come back or Tay Johnson? Like they're already paying Leonard Moore. Like these other schools, they don't have those guys. Like, would you rather have a Nick Marsh, or would you rather have Jaden Greathouse come back and then whatever else they get in the portal?
Or
like
Jordan Faison say he's not going to play lacrosse anymore.
These are all considerations that you have. Like Gerby Lambert, you have to, like, he is a guy who's already on the team. Anthony Knapp is a guy who's already on the team. Like Will Black and Matty Augustine, like guys who are Notre Dame is very excited about. Like that does matter, right? And that does factor into this. So there's that part of it. The other part is where I totally understand people being like, hey, you knew you wanted Nick Marsh on your team. You knew you wanted Jontez Williams on your team. Like you knew that, and you didn't get him on campus. That's not good. Okay. Igbaragba, right? Didn't get him on your campus. You wanted him. You couldn't get him on a visit. That's not good. That's not good process.
No, it's not good.
And that is just in a vacuum, just straight up, right? That is not a good way of doing business. It doesn't mean it can't work out, but like it wasn't us who demanded that Notre Dame bring these guys in. It was Notre Dame showing interest and wanting them on the team. And so they blew it, right? They blew it on that front. Doesn't mean they can't rebound, right? That doesn't mean that. And like everyone wants it to be the case that it started poorly, and so therefore it's a disaster and everything's, one thing has to mean the other thing. Like, no, the fact that they misread the Nick Marshes and the Jontez Williams and the Ian Strongs, if they misread that, then they misread that. they can still field a good football team in 2026, right? Like they can still have a good portal season. It just they misread the first part of it, and that is something they need to deal with it now, right? Like they do need to fix it. And look, they can still do that, right? Like if they land a couple D tackles in the next couple of days, I don't want to absolve them of blame ahead of time because they haven't landed anyone yet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm not sitting here saying everyone needs to chill and they're going to figure it out. Like, I don't know that. I'm just saying my process right now is it's true that they've blown it. It's true that they can still have a good portal class and they still can have a good football team in 2026, which we all fully expect, right? But it's just like we're in the middle. It's like 2 series into a football game, or it's like end of the first quarter and it's 0-0 and it's like, well, they're a total disaster. Everything's going to be bad. Like, middle of the first quarter, end of the first quarter against NC State, and it's 7-7.
Yeah.
In a game, they ended up winning 36-7, something like that. Like they can, we're making conclusions about something that's in the midst of happening. Right.
Yeah.
And they need to figure it out.
Yeah, they definitely need to figure it out. And I think in the process too, you have to understand and you have to have a better understanding of where, like if they thought, hey, Marsh, we're going to get him. And you have to understand that, like, well, that's in pencil, not in pen.
Right.
Like it might have been for Malachi Fields where it was not, and this isn't pen. You're going to get him. Like, so I think there's that kind of thing too. But I mean, from my understanding of like what basically some of the stuff that I heard about what Marsh got offered, and about how his like approach to it was, I think he easily they could have had a Marsh on campus this weekend. He wasn't on campus, no matter what the one dude was.
He was not on campus.
On campus.
I want to say something about that. Okay. And I'll tell you why I want to say something about that. Because Matt and Bryce were invoked in that, right? All they did, as far as I know, all they did was correct reporting from someone else reporting. They just, all they said was that this is not true. They checked with sources and they said it's not true. He's not on campus. The player's mother actually responded and said, no, he's not on campus. So there's that. What I would say to this is because there was, there's been stuff said about independent and, he's not beholden to any other people. I do not have any problem with this Bruce guy. I don't care. Right. I work with ISD and I believe in Matt and all those other things. What I would say to that is Matt stands on everything he puts out there. And he is accountable for everything that he puts out there. Right. And I don't appreciate other people acting like he is beholden to anyone, that he is, running like state media of any kind. Like that is not him. Don't do the thing where you want it to be like, I'm not behind a paywall, so therefore, like I'm better than you. Like, no. Matt works his ass off. He works so hard, and it's like his information is valuable. His work is valuable, and that is why he is where he is. So don't do the thing where you're besmirching other people, because that is not what he did. He did not do that. Okay. All he said was, this is incorrect. You reported something that's not correct. And that's all. There was no ad hominem anything about that. So that's what I want to say. Nick Marsh was not on campus, and they needed to get on campus. That was something I've been thinking about this whole weekend. I just like, don't do the thing where you're, coming at other people, because that's not what happened. You put out something that it was incorrect. Okay. And that happens. Okay. But don't go at other people like that. That's all I'm going to say. Please continue.
Well, I'm going to say, Bruce, don't be a loser. Like, don't come at people that do their job well. And, obviously Matt is my friend as well as the guy we work with, and JB is my friend and a guy we used to work with as well too. Like, there are people that really put into actual work. They have real sources. They're, I think, the two best guys in the Notre Dame beat in terms of getting information. accurate information and not blowing smoke when it doesn't need to. And I don't talk about other people who are like legitimately on the beat, even if I disagree with some of the stuff that they do. But if you're just like a fan guy just trying to do this and trying to be something, it's not the way to go about it. Don't come at guys who are actually really good at it and have a lot of integrity. So yeah, it was classless by that guy. And yeah, whatever. Now he looks dumb, and too bad for him.
Yeah. Anyway, on to the point you were making about
yeah, so
Nick Marsh and being on campus and stuff.
I think like, well, the point is that Marsh could have been on campus, and then if he didn't end up committing, and then he chose IU after, it wouldn't matter anyways, right? So but I think though it's an obvious miscalculation to say, well, we're not going to have anything in those first few days. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I would look at it like anyone who follows NBA free agency, NHL free agency, whatever. It's like, well, it opens at midnight, and just like, someone's at the door at midnight, or someone's on the phone at midnight, or hey, they're doing a Zoom or whatever. Like, that's how it works, because you kind of have to do. And to be honest, they're back channeling way before midnight. Like, all that kind of stuff is there. And yeah, and if you're not doing it, you're behind. You're behind, right? So I do think, yeah, there is absolutely things need to be questioned about the process. And it's not like they don't have time to make up for it, and they can't like come out of like in this next few days where all of a sudden, hey, they're rolling. And I do think now, especially because there's more like Texas Tech and Indiana, perfect examples. Those teams weren't in the equation 3 years ago in terms of like, hey, they're throwing a bunch of money out there and they're trying to do it. They weren't. And now those teams are. And now Kentucky, perfect example of like, Kentucky wasn't out there doing it. Well, now they got a new coach and they got Will Stein. And it's like, well, we got to get a quarterback and we got to get one of these guys. So now they're going to throw a bunch of money. So things change, and, all of a sudden competition of who is going after who, like, that changes quick too. Cause I would say like Oregon, I think, is one of the best at like, they've usually been like way ahead of the game in terms of like who they're getting in terms of the portal. Like, they have got like a lot of like high profile guys, big time guys. They've gotten portal guys who end up becoming first round picks, like all that. They've been on top of it, under Dan Lanning. And I would say, and obviously they're still playing right now, so it is a little bit of a different process for them than it would normally. It has been, because they've been done by this time. But, I don't see like Oregon like locking down these guys. Like, normally like Oregon, you'd see like Cam Coleman went to Oregon or something like that. So
yeah,
I think there's all these things, there's all these moving parts in it. That is going to be interesting, especially like I think people think that, oh, it's who's in the portal now is like, that's who it is. It's like, we don't know 2 days from now somebody's going to go in, because stuff changes, just like the Minchie thing, right? So I think you have to, you have to be totally fluid, and you have to be on top of it and all of that, just like you have to be in recruiting. But it's like everything is so much more sped up, right? Because you don't hear these guys say, well, I'm going to have my hat ceremony on January 14th. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. These guys are making decisions because they want to know, and they want to figure it out. And the teams want to know because they want to try to have their roster. They know there's no spring portal to make up for it. So they want to get their roster in place now. And I think there wasn't enough of a sense of urgency there. And I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah. Question about what was the thinking behind not having anyone on campus the first week? Did they want to be the last visit? I think just we don't have intel on what they were thinking, and they're obviously not going to share what they were thinking, because usually people don't do that when it's usually you hear about what teams are thinking when it works out, not when it doesn't. So maybe we'll hear about it later. But the only thing I can say is they assumed, and this is where I think the change in the portal and the short time period and only there being one window is where it maybe caught them off guard in the sense that, like, if just because they said a visit doesn't mean they're making that visit. And if they go to that first place and they say, like IU appears to have said, it's like, hey, either you sign this today or it's gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Either you sign today or there is no offer, right? And then they went ahead and did it, right? And if it's a number that's ahead of Notre Dame, what they want to spend, it is what it is. The other part of this too is Notre Dame, see, like the Pitt defensive tackle, right? Who went in the portal today. Okay. He wasn't there when it opened. Like, is Notre Dame sitting there with a bunch of money waiting for someone? I don't know if it's him. I'm just saying, for someone to get in where it's like, hey, we're going to go in on this guy, right? Because I think because we talked about this before the show started, when you look at Notre Dame's portal moves in the past, when, like last year, right? They didn't take a quarterback in the portal, right? So what was their big splash last year? We talked about it. It was Malachi Fields, who at the time in the college football sphere, that wasn't like, oh my God, Notre Dame's win the national title. They have Malachi Fields, right? That's not how that went, but that was their big splash. Notre Dame is not known for making big splashes in the portal. They just aren't. And so, but this year, because of the playoffs and because of the snub and because of like everyone, like there was a question in here about from Matt McCarthy, the issue is the beat made it sound like 2026 would be all in revenge tour type year. To the extent that people talked about that, Notre Dame has never said, we're on a revenge tour or anything like that. We don't know how they think about it. And so, like in my opinion, if they had gone in for someone like Marsh and they had landed him, which I think it's a miss. Like if he's your top guy and you didn't land him, then that's a miss on their part and they did not do a good job, right? But if they didn't want to pay whatever Indiana was paying, they felt like the evaluation was off or the valuation was off, and then that's their business. But like our expectations are not Notre Dame's operating theory, I guess. Like it doesn't have to be that, right? So I think Notre Dame has never been the team that's like, oh, they made the big splash in the portal. So I don't. My point is, I don't want this to be a situation where, like, they are not operating abnormally. I guess it's abnormal that they haven't landed anyone yet. That is weird, and that is something that needs to be examined. But like the fact that they haven't made the big splash yet is pretty much how they've done business in the portal era.
And frankly, like, part of like the idea of a revenge tour might, like, everyone thinks it's like they got to go out and get Cam Coleman, and the reason I keep saying Cam Coleman, because he's literally the only guy that I would say is like, oh, he's gonna just like whoop, like that guy who could maybe be the Jordan Addison type guy there. Because let's be honest too, like we spoke about this before, Malachi Fields, I view is Malachi Fields is better than Nick Marsh. Like he's better than him, better than Strong from Rutgers. It just, people didn't even know about those guys. Like definitely, I mean, maybe they know about Marsh, but they didn't know who Strong was until like 2 days ago. Like, and Fields was like, nah, he's a good player for like 2 years. Like he was 2 years before Notre Dame. Like he was good. So I think it's one of these things too, where everybody thinks, well, it means getting that thing, rather than like, how about number one on the checklist is like making sure Traore and Bowen and Schuler and et cetera, like are back, because it doesn't matter. You aren't going to be going on a revenge tour without those guys. You aren't. And, or Greathouse and keeping Greathouse and all that. Like there's a lot of that, right? Like, so, or this is one of these things too. It's just, it is always hilarious to me because I know this is the nature of being a college football fan. It's not against Notre Dame fans. This is just what it is. Everything is what have you done for me lately? Everything is what happened. What's the latest thing to happen? Because minute Notre Dame brings, it's like Charlie Partridge. They're bringing him in the defense, or they lost Max Miller. Oh my gosh, what are they going to do to replace him? Well, they better do this. And if they do this, so they make this move to move Al Washington there, and then, well, they better bring in a stud defensive line coach. Well, they're bringing in a stud defensive line coach, and that's what they're doing. People should be celebrating that, but it gets washed over because of, all the latest, them not doing the portal. So all it really takes, and it's true, it's like, I know this because I'm going to be writing 6 thoughts in the next day or whatever, getting it ready. Well, if I'm writing about them not getting anyone in the portal, that is going to be the vibe of it, and everyone is going to be thinking about that. Or I'll be writing about how they got 4 guys from this day and from these next 2 days, and the mood changes, right? And that's what it is. That's what it is. I just want to point out too, because this is another thing, because Reed, the BC receiver, right, who went to Arizona State, and this is something that I have heard too, that I think not a lot of people are kind of talking about. But if you look at the teams that have made a big splash so far, right, like Arizona State, it's like, they lost Levin, whatever. It's like, Kenny Dillingham was talking about, like, we need someone, we need money. We need someone, give us money. We got to do this. Well, one of the things they've done, they've got 2 big time receivers. I mean, relatively, like I'm talking about in the portal, right? So they've added that, and it's like, well, that's what they're doing, because they got that money, and they're in Texas Tech, same thing. Indiana, same thing, right? Well, Ole Miss, same thing too. And you might say, well, Ole Miss is playing right now, all this, they got all this turnover. It's like, well, they are a team, they're a portal team. They're built off the portal. Like, that is one of their main things. And if you're going to do that, you have to win in these couple days. You have to build off of that. And they are, frankly, all of those teams, just like Texas Tech last year, they are overpaying. Those guys are taking those offers. Sorsby's not going there for the facilities. Like that said, it was like a joke. Like I read it as like, he raved about the facilities. Yeah, give me a break. He got $5 million. Like, that's why he's going there, right? Like, it's like he got the highest offer, and that's what he was looking for, and he got it. Hey, man, obviously, guy's probably going to be a day 3 pick in the NFL draft, and he's getting $5 million. Take it, man. Like, go for it. But that's what it is with all these things. And that's why, Georgia will get guys. Like, they got a couple guys, I think, so far already too. But you don't see Georgia going, and it's like, well, why isn't it the same as, why isn't Georgia getting the top guys, and why isn't Ohio State, they got John Walker from UCF, and that's, a big get for them. But it's not like they're cleaning up the same amount of the same way that these other teams are. It was like, those are portal teams. They have to do that.
Yeah. And Notre Dame is obviously not in that position. Let's talk about Brady Foley, who was canceled on by Notre Dame, I believe, on his way to campus. I don't think he was on campus. I believe he was on his way. A lot of talk about, what. First of all, why you've targeted this guy. I mean, I heard his name weeks ago, as I'm sure you did as well. So why, when he's driving up to campus, do they decide not to take a tight end? Now, there could be reasons for this, and I don't want to say it's okay because, we were surmising maybe they landed some guys at D tackle, or they feel like they can land some guys at D tackle, and that's where the money should go. And if that's true, then that's true. I think they also have some tight ends they're very excited about. I mean, I know they like Cooper Flanagan. I know they're very excited about James Flanagan. They've got Ian Primer, who they might want to get onto the field, right? So they have still Ty Washington, who is in his second year with the program. So they have guys that they can bring in. Apparently, cycle. Kind of what is your thought on that? Obviously, Matt loves it because he hates tight ends, period, because he just
that is hilarious.
He hates tight ends. I mean, then this man would have loved Steve Spurrier, let me tell you, just more than anything in the world. But what is kind of your take on their decision to do that? And just like do you feel like there is something to be said for the fact that like they decided so late that they weren't going to take a tight end?
I mean, yes, kind of like it's not the greatest situation, but does everyone follow recruiting? Because they've like guys are getting ready to step on a plane and then they say, "Yeah, don't come."
This happens a lot in recruiting.
It happens all the time. So it's not something new. And also too, it'd be way worse to have him on campus and then being like, yeah, well, then we're not going to waste your time. And like, we don't even really want to take a tight end now. But I think people know that things are very fluid, especially when it comes to how much money you have allotted for each of these things. And I don't want to make excuses for them for like, how it was done or anything like that. Like that's not great. But I will say they never really needed a tight end. It would be a total luxury to get another tight end. Because they're going to have at least minimum two guys with Cooper Flammang, James Flammang that I believe are like starter, like could be high level starter guys. And that doesn't mean that like Premer might not come in and be like Mike Mayer or something like that, or like better. Right. So, and Ty Washington can play. Like if Ty Washington's your third tight end, you're in a good spot. So you can bringing in, it's like, yeah, of course, if you had that extra thing allotted, you would just bring in another good player because he's a good player. And I get it. And you can play multiple tight ends, just you can play multiple defensive linemen and all this. So
yeah,
it's a different thing. You can be a little bit more greedy in that way. At the same time, if you go and you get, say, we don't know this is just speculation, but if you get a commitment from somebody and basically like, hey, it's locked in, you're going to get this guy. And then you're like, okay, well, we're going to have to pay extra money here. Well, then now you don't have that extra money to give to that extra spot where you thought, well, we're not going to be able to take somebody here. So that can happen. It can happen like really, really quickly. And it's just, kind of a fact. And like, honestly, if I was a tight end looking into it, and I get like Notre Dame is like, they're going to play multiple tight ends, the odds of him being the starter at Notre Dame, probably not great. So he's, in a way, it's probably doing him a favor.
Yeah. I think it looks bad in the context of everything else. Like if they had, like the fact that a bunch of guys aren't making it to campus, are canceling visits, and then they cancel on Foley, then obviously, then it's like, what's going on? Like everything's a disaster. And it's like, I don't know, like they decided not to take a player, and that's something that's very normal here. Question from Pat Subkowski. Do you guys think the staff thinks wide receiver room is just fine as it is? If so, who takes the next step? I thought KK would be the guy, but now my money is on Gilbert. So I think what Notre Dame needs, let's talk about what Notre Dame needs and what they're looking for. They need a boundary. Okay.
Yeah.
They need someone to replace Malachi Fields. Okay. Of the people on the roster who are boundary receivers right now, they have Micah Gilbert, who's a boundary, and they have Cam Williams, who's a boundary. Of the players coming in who project as a boundary, you would say Devin Fitzgerald. I don't see Caden Finley as a boundary guy.
He could, but I wouldn't put it as.
I don't see it. Yeah, like I mean, he's, in my opinion, if he's going to be a boundary, he is not the solution in 2026. What I would say.
Neither of
So
those guys in 2026. I would say
Fitzgerald or Finley.
Finley. Yeah.
Correct. So am I missing someone as a boundary player? Micah Gilbert and Cam Williams, who have worked there. Am I missing someone? I don't think I am, but
no, it's those two.
So I like Micah Gilbert a good amount.
I mean, Greathouse has worked there too, but I wouldn't put him.
He worked there too as a
freshman. It's like they needed. I'm just saying he has. He has worked there.
The 23 season at wide receiver was not.
Certainly, great. He is in a much better position now to take on that if they needed him to. Elijah Burris, no, he's not. He's not like
right,
Elijah Burris. He's a field, maybe a slot. He needs to get stronger. Jerome Bettis Jr. is the young guy on the thing, but right. I mean, he'd have to take a big step this spring to be considered a guy. But I think right now it would be like Gilbert and Cam Williams, right? Certainly they have to feel good about Micah Gilbert and everything they've kind of seen from him so far. He could be like a really good starter there. That is also, if you're looking at like, hey, we might want to get some like a Bremer. He might be a guy. I'm not saying he'd be like a starter at there,
right?
But a guy you could line up there every once in a while and do that. Yeah, he could be that. James Flanagan, no, he's not. I don't think that's him. He's an inline H-back type. Same thing, Cooper Flanagan. None of the other tight ends. Frizzell is another guy who is basically he was like a big boundary. Could play in the slot. He could do a lot of stuff. So he would be somebody that you could look at there too. They got to land somebody, I think, to at least compete there. I think that is a must. I think it is a must. I really don't think they need anything because I get why people might be like, KK Williams or KK Smith, because he looked good, obviously, when he had to play. But KK Smith, first of all, he's a field receiver, and he's not going to play over Jordan Faison. He wouldn't play over Jordan Faison, so he's stuck there. And I don't know that he wouldn't get beat out by Elijah Burris. Right. Like it's not like a guarantee there. In the slot, he wouldn't beat out Greathouse and Saldate. You
got Saldate, you got Finley. I mean,
I think it's like if with KK Smith, then you kind of hope it's like, well, scrap Richardson. Let's see where he is in year 2 and all of that too. Mm-hmm. And also Finley is going to be a guy who comes in and plays right away. And I think he's going to be a guy who can play in field. So to me, KK Smith, it's like, it's too bad he never got a chance to really play. And if he goes to the right spot, I think he actually could be a pretty good player somewhere. I think he was kind of stuck there. I mean, Cam Williams also might be in the field too, right? So I don't think it was kind of set up for KK Smith to be a guy who did that much more than he was already going to do. So it's just the reality of it. And sometimes there's guys who are like decent players that just, they can never get on the field because there's other guys in front of them.
You're just not going to get the snaps that you want, you know? Like we could also see Notre Dame go to more of like a field slot team, like they were in 15 with Fuller and, like Amir Carlisle and guys like that. I mean, because you remember like the boundary on that team was Chris Brown, who, I mean, like he's a good college player, but he wasn't like, certainly not dominant, right? Like if he was in the portal, like where would he end up, Could Gilbert be that? Yeah, I think so. I like Mikey Gilbert a lot. The problem is he ends up hurt all the time. Like he's ended up hurt both times. Granted, he breaks his finger, right? I mean, which is maybe unfortunate, but the fact of the matter is, like, you do need to be, if you're going to be Notre Dame's boundary, like the guy, we need to know you're going to be out there, and that's the problem. That's why you say, like, that someone has to be there to compete with him for that spot. With Cam Williams, and I have something invested in Cam Williams because Like, I was very, very high on him coming out in high school. Like, I really liked him. But we've talked about this before. The thing with him is I don't know what he is now. Because when I watch him, I don't see that uber explosiveness that we saw in high school. Like, I think he's just bigger now. I don't see that elite acceleration that I thought he had in high school. And so if he's going to be a boundary, like now we're talking about, like, are you a contested catch guy like we saw from Malachi Fields? Are you take the top off the defense on like a deep post like we saw from Malachi Fields? What are you exactly? That's the question that I have for him. It's not to say he can't do it. I've never imagined him being a boundary and doing the things that boundary guys need to do. And so that's the question that I have. Again, that's why they wanted a guy like Nick Marsh, right? Like, they targeted a guy specifically for that position. And so that's kind of the deal. A lot of people bringing up Joey O'Brien. Like, I think he could be a boundary if we wanted to play offense, but I doubt that that's what he wants to do. So I just, that's what Notre Dame needs. I mean, they need the D tackles. And to me, the needs are the 2 D tackles or 3 D linemen or whatever it might be. And then that boundary guy at wide receiver. I don't know what else and a kicker. And a kicker, right? But yeah, I mean, I like a slot guy, sure. Get a slot, right? But I think they have players on the roster that Creed Thomas went into the portal.
Yeah.
Like, obviously Notre Dame feels really good about their young guys and the guys that are coming in with Kari Adams and Chasten Smith and Nick Reddish, right? See, like Joseph Yeager or DeYager, 5581. Can Cam Williams at least become a Javon McKinley type player? He wasn't that type of player in high school. That's what I mean. I don't know what he's
not a
supposed
jump
to
ball
be.
guy, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what he can become, honestly.
I will say Javon McKinley wasn't really a big jump ball guy in high school. He was a yak guy.
He was but like a big volume,
high volume yak guy, and he just kind of never really and he kind of morphed into something else. I mean, Javon McKinley is a very classic, like, a total exception. That is so rare for somebody to be like, first 3 years, whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Fourth year,
injuries. He's closer to like
injuries,
Gilbert,
but
honestly.
I mean, he had a lot of issues with drops and stuff. Like, a lot of consistency. And the other thing was they had Miles Boykin and they had Chase Claypool in front of them. So, even reps in practice is going to be tough to get reps there. So, and dude, that's the thing with like Cam Williams. It's like, but you got to go there and earn it. You have to go there and earn it. And, he was a guy that in McKinley 4th year, he had like a couple games in like garbage time where he had like New Mexico. He had like a big play after the catch and all that. But they were in a desperate situation in 2020. It's like so fluky that it turned out as well as it did, that he became like a really good player in his 5th year. That just never happens. Like, that isn't something to expect. So the way I always look at it is, you might get the rare guy who's like, hey, in his 4th year, he makes a jump and becomes a starter and whatever. That's rare. 5th year guy, it's like Javon McKinley and nobody. Like, it's like nobody else, that kind of thing, that it happens. 3rd year, which this is going to come up into, it's going to be Cam Williams' 3rd year. This is the year for him. He's got to make a move. He has to make a move. And there's a lot of guys in that kind of same situation, right? Where it's just what it is. So, like, we didn't mention Jack Larson in the tight end thing, and it's true. It's like, I don't think Jack Larson, like, you watch when he gets in, it's like he catch a ball. He's got some talent, but you're in the murky mess of like, you better make a big jump or else it ain't happened for you at Notre Dame, because there's guys coming up behind you.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So third year, it's like, it's huge. It's huge for him. So even someone like, he's had injuries, so that's part of it. But like Styles Prescott at on the offensive line, it's like, well, because everyone's like, well, Will Black's coming, Matty Augustine's coming, all this that are coming up. It's like Styles Prescott has to find his way to be in the top 8 in the offensive line this year, or else it's probably not happening for him.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it is. So it's a big year for all those kind of guys. And I think it's, I wrote about it a ton of times, but it just really is that, because you've got 2 years into the program. And that's the one thing with Armel Mukam, which I was, why I was like, this has got to be it for Armel Mukam. That's why I was like kind of all in on him. Like, it's got to happen for him. And it didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen for him. And it's not to say, like, I think I saw like he's visiting Virginia. He could probably play at Virginia and be okay or whatever like that. But he's probably not going to be the guy anybody ever thought. It was kind of like how Micah Treadway went to Minnesota and started 2 years. Well, there's gaps here of like playing at a certain level, and it's just it is what it is. It's like it's just, there's injuries that can hold you back. And certainly with someone like JOK, like, Jeremiah Wosu-Koromora, that is something like he probably would have played in his second year if he didn't break his foot.
Yeah.
And was like out for the whole year. But he didn't do anything the first 2 years. And then third year, the guy's like almost like a freaking All-American. Like, and then obviously he wins a buck as his fourth year.
Yeah.
Right. So.
What's your evaluation of Braden Atkinson? He's on campus right now.
Yeah, obviously I've only watched like highlights of him. I haven't watched real film of him.
It's hard to find. Mercer, come on,
yes,
man.
there's not a lot of Mercer stuff out there.
I watched a little bit last night.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at like, he's obviously a guy who puts up that kind of numbers as a true freshman anywhere. I don't care what level, D3, whatever. You're going in and you're like lighting the world on fire as a true freshman. You're a pretty good player. Like, he's a pretty good player. To me, that totally makes sense. That's the perfect kind of guy to bring in there, because if this is a guy who's actually good and he believes in himself, and if you look at his numbers and all that, like what he's done there, like, so for people who don't know, he'd like true freshman at Mercer, he won the Jerry Rice Award. It's the most outstanding freshman in the FCS. So pretty good. He was 2 times All-State in North Carolina. So it's like, not like he was bad. He had a couple of, D1 offers, BC and Miami, but we don't know if like, hey, those were committable.
Miami of Ohio.
Yeah. Not Miami, Florida. Sorry. 3,600 yards, 8.9 YPA, 34 touchdowns, threw 11 picks, but he's a freshman.
Yeah.
3 years eligibility left. Not a dual threat, like barely scrambled, but also like never got sacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, maybe he was playing behind a great line, but like, seems to me he's probably a guy who like decisive got rid of the football and just knew like that he had to get it, because like extremely low pressure to sack ratio, like very, very low, like 2 point something percent, like,
yeah,
which is like elite. So that's the kind of guy, like, if is one of those guys, it's kind of almost like a little bit like Trinidad Chambliss. He's obviously a different player, but it's like, if this guy is good and he's got like that kind of belief in himself, like, it's a kind of a good idea to go to Notre Dame, be in the system, learn the offense, hopefully win the backup job, and you might be the guy in 2026 or 2027. Sorry, excuse me, 2027, right? Like, because if CJ Carr has pretty much the exact same kind of year that he has this year, and I think he'll be better, but let's just say he's the exact same kind of year, he'll be a first round pick next year, and he should leave, right? So if that happens, then that, he could be in a spot to do that, and like at the very least compete for that job, right? And it's kind of like he could probably go somewhere right now, and I bet he would probably get some at a school where he could go to a group of 5 school and be the starter. And it's not to say that would be a bad thing to be the starter at one of these group of 5 schools. But let's be honest, he would be going there, and if he tears it up, the next year he'll be going to a Power 4 school, probably a big one. So it's kind of like if he wants to jump in and try to like do that and not play for this year, but who knows? You don't know about injuries or anything, like he couldn't step up, but you got to come in and win the job. Obviously, you got Grubbs and Teddy Gerard and coming in too, and all this. There's going to be a lot of competition there. You got to show yourself, but to be a guy with that many years of eligibility left who's actually played seems like an ideal thing. And I don't know about the academic fit or whatever, but that would be, I would consider that a huge win for Notre Dame in terms of that back, because we weren't even thinking about that when we were talking about it before, Greg. We were talking about guys who are like, well, hopefully this guy wants to be a GA or something one day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Who are you going to get that's better than this?
I don't think there's anybody.
Yeah. Like he's played. Here's the thing, man. You play a freshman, you come in and just run the operation the way that he did, 11 picks, 34 touchdowns, like fine. Right. You have to have someone who is used to, again, running things, has played a ton, and is willing to sit behind CJ Carr. In the Venn diagram of quarterbacks, like who fits into that? I don't know. Like, so to me, you wish he was mobile. That's the only thing I could say is you wish he was mobile, and he isn't. And it is what it is. But you got to have a guy who can come in and run the operation, is used to calling plays and being in the fire and all those other things. Like you said, he's able to avoid sacks, however it happens, right? And it's a trait that he must possess. I saw him throw, like I was watching a high school tape of him. He threw a go route that was like 60 yards in the air.
He's got a live arm.
He threw it from the 35, and the ball landed, or would have landed on like the 5. I was like, that's a 60-yard pass. Like it just is. So I was like, check that box for me. So yeah, I don't know who else you could get the type of profile. If they didn't land him, I would want, so if it's going to be someone inexperienced like that, then get someone who's mobile and can move around, and then you can add that to the offense. And so that's kind of where that is. But we'll have to monitor that. There's so much that has to be monitored from now and so for the next couple of weeks. Get some names. They've got some guys on campus. Obviously, the guys on campus, you got to be able to close on them, because if you let them off your campus, like we saw, it usually leads to bad outcomes. So there's a lot to monitor. There's a lot going on. So hang in with Hit and Hustle and Irish Sports Daily. We'll be back on Thursday. What?
Before we go, I got to get this off my chest. I was telling you before.
Oh, the rankings.
The transfer portal rankings. They are absolutely useless, guys. And I know they have to exist because for the casual fan who's just trying to find out, like, I don't know who this guy is who played for some school that Notre Dame never played, or if you're you're a fan of Kentucky, and I'm sure they have fans, but if you're a fan of Kentucky and you see some guy from the Conference USA that they picked up, and you're like, who is this guy? Is he any good? You're going to go look at the ranking. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And honestly, maybe I should go to On3 rankings. I don't know what their rankings are. I probably don't look at enough. I just usually look at 24/7. I'm looking at but I'm not even looking at the rankings. I'm just looking at names of who's there. I don't care. Some of these rankings are like hot garbage. It's bad. It's bad. Like, there is no rhyme or reason for some of this stuff. Like, I don't know, like Keon Keeley, 5-star. He was a 5-star. Still, he has traits. He could still be a really good player. That is, he has 2 years eligibility left. He could be a good player still. He's a 93 in the transfer portal rankings. I just looked. He's a 93. In what world is that guy a 93 when he's shown, I don't want to say nothing, only flashes in 3 years. He's been on campus 3 years. That's bad. Like you're just basically taking your ranking and being like, well, he hasn't lived up to it, but he's still got a lot of he's a freak athletically, so I'm still going to just put him here. No, that's not good. That means you didn't watch any of the tape. Right. You didn't pay attention to any of the stuff that's actually going on. Like how last year, I'll never forget, Jaden Rashada been on his 400th school in 10 years or whatever. All the stuff that's going on. He was like a 4-star quarterback thing. And I was like, Steve Angeli, who all he did whenever he got in, he had, one start in the bowl game. Yes, I understand it was a bowl game, whatever, but he was lights out in the bowl game. Came in, Orange Bowl, pressure situation, moved the ball, did everything done. Look at his numbers. I know it's garbage time, whatever, but look at every single thing. Also, the fact that he was just legitimately good. It wasn't people, everything about him. If you ever talk to any source on Notre Dame, you're like, Steve Angeli's good. Steve Angeli's good. He's a good quarterback. And he was a 3-star or whatever, because he probably had a 3-star ranking from 24/7 or whoever back in the thing. He was a better player than Jaden Rashada. There's a reason why Jaden Rashada ended up at Sacramento State and Steve Angeli ended up at Syracuse. We got to do better with some of these rankings here, or just don't rank them. Right. Don't rank them.
I don't think they should be ranked. Yeah, they have to exist for the content industry, but how can you accurately do it? It's you're watching all 22 of all these guys. You're watching all 22 of guys you don't even know are going in the portal, and you have a ranking on them. No way. There's no way. At least with high school kids, they're high school kids. They're going to go to college. Some of these guys, you don't even know they're going in the portal. There's no way. Just don't rank them. But we understand why it exists because of the content industry, and everyone can put up their rankings. And so then you can have team rankings in the portal and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's no need for it. Literally, just have guys go in the portal, and the teams that land them, they can evaluate how they affect their roster and that other stuff. Literally, there's no reason to do it at all. But
Jared Dawson wasn't in the top 80 defensive tackles last year. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch all 80 whatever guys who were in front of him. So, but I can tell you this. He played enough and was good enough as of a football player over the course of his career that there weren't 80 defensive tackles better than him.
What was the kid from Kentucky? Keyshawn Silver, I think his name was.
Keyshawn Silver was.
What was he ranked?
I'm going to look at it right now, but I believe he was. If he was not the top defensive tackle, he was in the top 3.
Or who was the better player?
Jared Dawson. Keyshawn Silver was the top. And I'm not joking. And because I was looking, obviously, I'm looking at these guys there, and I look at all this kind of stuff, and I know it's defensive tackle. You're not going to have the kind of thing. He was in college 4 years. He had 1.5 havoc plays in 4 years. The point is you have to look at maybe this guy sucks. I don't care if he has 5 stars next to his name, whatever. I had him in the ISD Fab 50 back whenever, 2019 or whatever year it was there. I mean, the guy was a freak. I thought he was going to be really good. Turns out maybe the guy just hates football. I don't know, but he was not a good player. Turns out he couldn't start for USC, who was not good. They did not have good defensive
tackle. Paid him $2 million.
Yes, paid him $2 million. Money well spent there. Everyone always wants to getting the guys that you think sometimes those guys can turn out. I get it. A lot of those times they don't, especially when they have multiple years. Don't treat the guys the same when they're coming out of high school and they haven't got the coaching yet, whatever. It's it doesn't always work out that way. Just sometimes that's how Xavier Watts goes in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
5 picks, more than Deion Sanders as a rookie
Yeah.
with the Falcons, who I've heard of him before. Shout out to Mitchell Vahiluk. This is a deep cut. Rankings are a scam. Or I think rankings are a sham. I think it was what I said. The rankings are a sham, except for the ISD 550. That's not a sham. So yeah, that's why that's a real one. Mitchell's a real one. Call back on that. Appreciate it. All right, we'll be back on Thursday with more Portal talk. And maybe if there's breaking news, maybe we can do a live show tomorrow. We'll see. We're monitoring. We'll monitor the situation. We're going to be fluid like everyone else during this period. But look out for us on Thursday. We're going to be back at our normal time. So, all right, have a good rest of your day, everyone. We will talk to you. Hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll be back on Thursday with more Portal talk and off-season talk. And maybe we'll talk the playoffs too, because I've probably got some thoughts on that. But we'll talk about playoffs and Portal on Thursday. So, all right, everyone, have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Keep hitting and hustling.